Hello, hello. I am going to be doing, I'm going to be reading the new Torah portion. This is the 24th week of Torah portions. It's the beginning of Leviticus. If you remember in our last Torah portion, they had just completed the tabernacle and got all the implements in it. And now we go into Leviticus. And it says the book of Leviticus called Vayikra, and he called in the Torah. That's what Vayikra, and he called. They always take the first couple of letters from the first sentence, and that's the name of the Torah portion. Vayikra, and he called in the Torah, and is also known as the book of sacrifices. It is sometimes called Torah Kohenim, meaning the law of the priests, since it deals largely with the various offerings brought to the Lord for sacrificial purposes in the tabernacle. Vayikra opens with the book where the book of Exodus left off, with God calling to Moses from the tent of meeting regarding the laws of the various animal and meal offerings that may be offered as a sacrifice. It says, the Lord called to Moses and spoke to him from the tent of meeting, saying, Leviticus 1:1. So, let's start in prayer. Father, Yah, thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for pressing me and asking me to do this and giving me the opportunity to do this. And thank you for making me feel healthy and well enough to do this. This is quite exciting to be able to schedule and to do these and to share your word with whoever you bring to this channel. So I pray blessings on all that hear this, and that you help us to all give us eyes to hear, and eyes to see and ears to hear, and understanding of your word, and help us to, as we dig in, to know you more, and help us as we grow in a covenant relationship with you. In Yeshua's holy name, praise, honor, and glory to you, my King. Amen. Okay, so Leviticus 1:1. So this portion is Leviticus 1:1 through 6:7. So, and Yahuwah called to Moshe and spoke to him from the tent of appointment, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when any one of you brings an offering to Yahuwah, you bring your offering of the livestock, of the herd, or of the flock. If his offering is an ascending offering of the herd, let him bring male. A perfect one, let him bring it at the door of tent of appointment for his acceptance before Yahuwah. And he shall lay his hand on the head of the ascending offering, and it shall be accepted on his behalf to make atonement for him. And he shall slay the bull. So I'm thinking the person who's bringing it is killing it. And he shall slay the bull before Yahuwah, and the sons of Aaron, the priests, shall bring the blood and sprinkle the blood all around the slaughter place, which is at the door of tent of appointment. Now, I've read all of these so many times, and I never, I read it and kind of just, I'd skip around a lot because it didn't seem interesting, or it didn't catch my attention, or things like that. But you think about this. You've got this tent of appointment, and you've got all these people bringing animals. Okay, these animals are pooping everywhere, because that's what animals do. Living with animals here. And then they take it, and they personally have to slit this animal's neck, which, like we raise meat chickens, and I have not slit the throat of my chickens. My husband does that. I could. It would be hard. It would be something I would have to force myself to do and learn, because ew. And then I've watched when he's done it, and then blood's everywhere. It's a messy job. And so you think about, this is a full-on bull, a big cow, and they're slicing its neck, and there's blood going, and what a mess. What a mess it's got to be. And then you think of the smell, because you got dead animals and blood and poo, and what a mess. Anyway, so they, and Aaron and his sons will bring the blood and sprinkle the blood all around on the slaughtering place, which is at the door of the tent of appointment. So then, they've got the blood, and then they're sprinkling blood everywhere. And he shall skin the ascending offering and cut it into pieces. So they're doing the butchering right there. Like I said, I would read this and none of it made sense. Now that I raise and dispatch our own animals for food, it makes a lot more sense. So, they're killing it, they're bleeding it out, they're skinning it, and then they're cutting it up. They shall skin the ascending offering and cut it into its pieces. And the sons of Aaron, the priest, shall put fire on the slaughter place and lay the wood in order on the fire. So they've got the slaughter place, and they're making a big barbecue, a big wood barbecue. And the sons of Aaron, the priest, shall arrange the pieces with the head and the fat on the wood, which is on the fire on the slaughter place. But its entrails and its legs he washes with water, and the priest shall burn all of it on the slaughter place as an ascending offering, an offering made by fire, a sweet fragrance to Yahuwah. And if his offering is from a flock, from the sheep, or from the goats as an ascending offering, let him bring a male, a perfect one. And I know like there's a bunch going on right now with the red heifers for the cleansing of the third temple that's coming. And the rabbinic Jews that are over there right now, they're, inspecting it with a magnifying glass. And I think if it has more than, 2 or 3 or 4 white hairs on it, it's not perfect. And, I don't know that that's what the Father meant. I think what he's saying here is, because, really, is there anything that's perfect? I think it is like, don't bring your sick animal and offer it up to Yahuwah. Bring your best. Bring that prize bull, that prize goat, the best one, the healthiest. That's the one, because that's a true sacrificial offering, is our best. The one that we'd rather sit and eat, but we're going to take it to Yahuwah and offer it to the priests and to Yahuwah. So if his offering is of the flock of the sheep or from the goats, as an ascending offering, let him bring a male, a perfect one. And he shall slay it on the north side of the slaughter place before Yahuwah, and his son and the sons of Aaron the priest shall sprinkle the blood on the slaughter place all around, and he shall cut it into its pieces with its head and its fat, and the priest shall arrange them on the wood which is on the fire on the slaughter place. But the entrails and the legs he washes with water, and the priest shall bring it all and burn it on the slaughter place. It is an ascending offering, an offering made by fire, a sweet fragrance to Yahuwah. So I'm thinking like some of this is probably meat for the priests, because that's their job, their service. So they don't go out and work and have money to go buy food and everything. Their food is what's being brought. So some of it is burned up to Yahuwah, and some of it is cooked up for the priests to eat. And if the ascending offering of his offering to Yahuwah is of birds, then he shall bring an offering of turtle doves or young pigeons, and the priest shall bring it to the slaughter place, and shall wring off its head and burn it on the slaughter place, and its blood shall be drained out at the side of the slaughter place, and he shall remove its craw from its feathers and throw it beside the slaughter place on the east side into the place for ashes. So this, like when we're dispatching our chickens, we have an assembly line, and so Rusty and Brett, they dispatch the bird, they let the blood drain, then they move it over and they dip it in scalding water, so it makes it to where the feathers will come off. Then they put it in the plucker, it does its thing, gets rid of all the feathers, and then they bring it over to the table, and Lacey and I, we cut it open, remove its craw, all of its guts and innards. We cut the heart and the kidney and the innards, that are edible, and we put them into a bowl because we're going to use those for like dog food. And then the rest of it goes into a bucket, like with the head, and that eventually goes in with the head and the feathers that gets discarded and the blood. So, I'm picturing this, and there's got to be a lot, especially we're talking big old bulls and goats and sheep and birds and everything. I mean, I know that just, butchering out 10 to 30 chickens, there's a lot of waste, stuff that gets thrown away. That's the nasty stuff. And imagine if they're doing, tons and tons of big animals, how much, and it says here that they shall, it goes on the east side, the place for ashes. So interesting. And he shall split it at its wings, but not sever it. So it's like he cracks it open, kind of like I'd imagine he, what is that? Were they, the chicken? Sorry, my dad does, where he splits it open, cracks it open, and spreads it out to cook it. I forget what it's called though. And he shall split it at its wings, but not sever it. And the priest shall burn it on the slaughter place, on the wood that is on the fire. It is an ascending offering, an offering made by fire, a sweet fragrance to Yahuwah. And when anyone brings a grain offering to Yahuwah, his offering is to be of fine flour, and he shall pour oil on it, and put frankincense on it. And he shall bring it to the sons of Aaron the priests, and he shall take from it his hand filled with fine flour and oil and all the frankincense, and the priest shall burn it as a remembrance portion on the slaughter place. I'm sorry, someone coming up my driveway. Is it my husband? It is. Oh my gosh. Okay, I was able to pause it. My the kid that we have working for us around the house, he just came up after school and he's out. Had to show him where to dig some holes. So, okay, let me see if I can find where we left off. She'll split the wings and not sever it, and the priest shall burn it on the slaughter place, on the wood that's on the fire. It is an ascending offering, an offering made by fire, a sweet fragrance to Yahuwah. Chapter 2. And when anyone brings a grain offering to Yahuwah, his offering is to be of fine flour, and he shall pour oil on it and put frankincense on it. So, I don't know, the frankincense kind of makes it inedible, so that must just be like an offering that's going to be burned up. And he shall bring it to the sons of Aaron, the priests, and he shall take from it his hand, take from it his hand filled with fine flour and oil with all the frankincense, and the priest shall burn it as a remembrance portion on the slaughter place, an offering made by fire, a sweet fragrance to Yahuwah. Okay, so yeah, that one's a remembrance offering, so it's just burned up. And the rest of the grain offering is for Aaron and his sons, most set apart of the offering to Yahuwah by fire. So they take some of it and they mix it and they burn it, and then the rest is for Aaron and the priests to eat. And when you bring as an offering a grain offering baked in the oven, it is of unleavened cakes of fine flour mixed with oil, or unleavened thin cakes anointed with oil. But if your offering is a grain offering on the griddle, it is a fine flour unleavened mixed with oil. Divide it into bits and pour oil on it. It is a grain offering. And if your offering is a grain offering in a stewing pot, it is made of fine flour with oil. And you shall bring to Yahuwah the grain offering that is made of these, and shall present it to the priest, and he shall bring it to the slaughter place. And the priest shall take it from the grain offering, a remembrance portion, and burn it on the slaughter place, an offering made by fire, a sweet fragrance to Yahuwah. And the rest of the grain offering is for Aaron and his sons, most set apart of the offering to Yahuwah made by fire. No grain offering which you bring to Yahuwah is made with leaven, For you do not burn any leaven or any honey in an offering to Yahuwah made by fire. Bring them to Yahuwah as an offering of the first fruits, but they are not burned on the slaughter place for a sweet fragrance. And season with salt every offering of your grain offering, and do not allow the salt of the covenant of your Elohim to be lacking from your grain offering. With all your offering, you bring salt. Isn't that kind of interesting? So everything's salted. Quit, baby. Quit. Stop. Sorry. Okay. And if you bring a grain offering of your first fruits to Yahuwah, bring for the grain offering of your first fruits green heads of grain roasted on fire, crushed heads of new grain, and you shall put oil on it and lay frankincense on it. It is a grain offering, and the priest shall burn the remembrance portion from its crushed grain and from its oil and all the frankincense of the offering made by fire to Yahuwah. 3. And if that which he presents is slaughtering of peace offering, if he is bringing it of the herd, whether male or female, he brings a perfect one before Yahuwah. Quit. Okay? Quit. Okay. And he shall lay his hands on the head of his offering and slay it at the door of the tent of appointment. And the sons of Aaron, the priest, shall sprinkle the blood on the slaughter place all around. And from the slaughtering of peace offerings, he shall bring a fire offering to Yahuwah, the fat that covers the entrail and all the fat that is on the entrails, and the 2 kidneys. What's that? Sorry. I lost my place. Fire offering. Okay, here. The fat that covers the entrails. So the fat that is around the organs, and all the fat that's on the entrails, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them by the loins, and the appendage on the liver, which he removes with the kidneys. And the sons of Aaron shall burn it on the slaughter place above upon the ascending offering, which is on the wood, which is on the fire, as an offering made by fire, a sweet fragrance to Yahuwah. So one of the things that, I render cow fat to make tallow. And in reading this, from what I understand, the fat that is around the organs, which is, I forget what it's called, but it's the premium fat, especially around the kidneys. All the fat that's around the organ is the best fat for making tallow. But in reading, and as we read through, it is supposed to be set apart for Yahuwah. So if anyone knows more about that, share more in the comments with me. Because I'm just learning all this and sharing my thoughts and stuff. And so if you know something, please share. So anyway, and the sons of Aaron shall burn it in slaughter place. And if that which he presents is from the flock for a slaughtering of peace offering to Yahuwah, male or female, he brings a perfect one. And if he's bringing a lamb as his offering, then he shall bring it before Yahuwah, and shall lay his hands on the head of his offering and slay it in front of the tent of appointment. And the sons of Aaron shall sprinkle its blood on the slaughter place round about. And from the slaughtering of peace offerings he shall bring near as a fire offering to Yahuwah its fat, all the fat tail, which he removes close to the backbone, and the fat that covers the entrails, and all the fat that is on the entrails, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them by the loins, and the appendage on the liver, which he removes from the kidneys. And the priest shall burn them on the slaughter place as food, an offering made by fire to Yahuwah. So here he's saying that this is all burned as food. So see, this is where I start to get confused as what's food and what's not food. And if his offering is a goat, then he shall bring it before Yahuwah, and shall lay his hands on its head, and slay it before the tent of appointment. And the sons of Aaron shall sprinkle the blood on the slaughter place all around. And from it he shall bring offerings as an offering made by fire to Yahuwah, the fat that covers the entrails, and all the fat that is on the entrails, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them by the loins, and the appendage on the liver, which he removes with the kidneys. And the priest shall burn them on the slaughter place as food. Okay, so I might be wrong. They may be able to eat this. So, like I said, if you've done a study or you know more about the fat and eating of the fat on the entrails and like tallow, because that's, I'm not sure of when I'm rendering down fat to make tallow, if I shouldn't be using the fat that's around the organs. So if anyone knows that, make a comment, let me know. We'll have a conversation. I would love to. Because, okay, so the priest shall burn them on the slaughter place as food, an offering made by fire for a sweet fragrance, all the fat. See, all the fat belongs to Yahuwah. An everlasting law throughout your generations in all your dwellings, you do not, right here, you do not eat any fat or any blood. So here we're not even supposed to eat the fat, but like for making tallow for like, for skincare. That's, so I'm so confused here. So 4. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Israel, saying, when a being sins by mistake against any of the commands of Yahuwah, which are not to be done, and shall do any of them, if the anointed priest sins, bringing guilt on the people, then he shall bring to Yahuwah for his sin, which he has sinned, a young bull, a perfect one, as a sin offering. And he shall bring the bull to the door of the tent of appointment before Yahuwah, and shall lay his hands on the bull's head, and slay the bull before Yahuwah. And the anointed priest shall take some of the bull's blood, and bring it to the tent of appointment. And the priest shall dip his finger in the blood, and sprinkle some of the blood 7 times before Yahuwah in front of the veil of the set-apart place. And the priest shall put some of the blood on the horns of the slaughter place of the sweet incense before Yahuwah, which is in the tent of appointment, and pour all of the blood of the bull at the base of the slaughtering place of the ascending offering, which is at the door of the tent of appointment. Then he takes all of the fat of the bull as the sin offering, and the fat that covers the entrails, and all the fat which is on the entrails, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them by the loins, and the appendage on the liver, which he removes with the kidneys, as it was taken from the bull of the slaughtering place offerings. And the priest shall burn them on the slaughtering place of the ascending offering. But the skin of the bull and all of its flesh, with its head and legs, its entrails and dung, all of the bull he shall bring outside of the camp to a clean place where the ashes are poured out, and burn it on wood with fire where the ashes are poured out as it is burned. So it sounds like I was saying, when we butcher the chickens and all the stuff that we're not going to use, we put it, we've put it in our compost before, or we throw it away. And here it looks like they had to take it out of, they took it out of the camp and burned it outside the camp. So, and if the entire congregation of Israel strays by mistake, and the matter has been hidden from the eyes of the assembly, and they have done against any of the commands of Yahuwah, which are not to be done, and shall be guilty, when the sin which they have sinned becomes known, then the assembly shall bring a young bull for the sin, and bring it before the tent of appointment. And the elders of the congregation shall lay their hands on the head of the bull before Yahuwah, and the bull shall be slain before Yahuwah. And the anointed priest shall bring some of the bull's blood to the tent of appointment, and the priest shall dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle it 7 times before Yahuwah in front of the veil. If anybody knows what any of that, the purpose for any of that is, please let me know, because I've always just wondered, why are they sprinkling blood around, and why are they putting it on the horns and all of that? Why? So, and put some of the blood on the horns of the slaughter place, which is before Yahuwah, which is at the tent of appointment, and pour all the blood at the base of the slaughter place of ascending offering, which is at the door of the tent of appointment. And he takes all of the fat from it and shall burn it on the slaughter place. And he shall do with the bull as he did with the bull as a sin offering. So shall he do it. And the priest shall make atonement for them, and it shall be forgiven them. And he shall bring the bull outside the camp and burn it as he burned the first bull. It is a sin offering for the assembly. When a ruler sins, and by mistake has done against any of the commandments of Yahuwah his Elohim, which are not to be done, and shall be guilty, or if his sin which he has sinned is made known to him, then he shall bring as his offering a buck of the goats, a male, a perfect one, and he shall lay his hands on the head of the goat, and shall slay it at the place where they slay the ascending offering before Yahuwah. It is a sin offering. And the priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger, and shall put it on the horns of the slaughter place of ascending offering, and pour its blood at the base of the slaughter place of ascending offering, and burn all of its fat on the slaughter place, like the fat of the slaughtering of the peace offering. And the priest shall make atonement for him for his sins, and it shall be forgiven him. And if any being of the people of the land sins by mistake by doing against any of the commands of Yahuwah, which are not to be done, and shall be guilty, or if his sin which he has sinned shall be made known to him, then he shall bring as his sin offering a female goat, a perfect one, for the sin which he has sinned. And he shall lay his hand on the head of the sin offering, and shall slay the sin offering at the place of ascending offering. And the priest shall take some of its blood with his finger, and shall put it on the horns of the slaughter place of the ascending offering, and pour all the blood at the base of the slaughter place. I'm saying lots of blood. Lots and lots and lots of blood. Then remove all of its fat, and the fat is removed from the slaughtering of the peace offering, and the priest shall burn it on the slaughter place for a sweet fragrance to Yahuwah, and the priest shall make atonement for him, and it shall be forgiven him. And if he brings a lamb as his sin offering, he brings a female, a perfect one, and he shall lay his hands on the head of the sin offering, and slay it as a sin offering at the place where they slay the ascending offering. And the priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger, and shall put it on the horns of the slaughter place of the ascending offering, and pour the blood at the base of the slaughter place. Then he removes all of its fat, as the fat of the lamb was removed from the slaughter of the peace offering, and the priest shall burn it on the slaughter place according to the fire offerings of Yahuwah. So the priest shall make atonement for him, his sin that he has sinned, and it shall be forgiven him. Chapter 5. And when a being sins in that he has heard the voice of swearing, and is a witness, or has seen or has known, but does not reveal it, he shall bear his crookedness. And when a being sins in that he has heard the voice of swearing, and is witness, or has seen or has known, but does not reveal it, he shall bear his crookedness. Not sure what that all means. And when the being touches any unclean matter, or the carcass of an unclean beast, or the carcass of unclean livestock, or the carcass of unclean creeping creatures, and it has been hidden from him, he is unclean and guilty. Or when he touches uncleanness of man, any of his uncleanness by which he is unclean, it has been hidden from him. When he shall know it, then he shall be guilty. Or when a being swears, speaking rashly with his lips to do evil or to do good, whatever it is that a man swears rashly with an oath, and it has been hidden from him, when he shall know it, then he shall be guilty of one of these. And it shall be, when he is guilty of one of these, he shall confess that in which he has sinned, and shall bring his guilt offering to Yahuwah for his sin which he has sinned, a female from the livestock, a lamb or a female goat as a sin offering, and the priest shall make atonement for him for his sins. And if he is unable to bring a lamb, he shall then bring to Yahuwah. He shall bring to Yahuwah, who has sinned, 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, and one for a sin offering, and the other for a sending offering. And he shall bring them to the priests, who shall bring near that which is for the sin offering first, and the nib off of its head from its neck, but not sever it. So he leaves the head on. And he shall sprinkle some of the blood of the sin offering on the side of the slaughter place, and the rest of the blood shall be drained out at the base of the slaughter place. It is a sin offering. It's getting dark in here. It's getting overcast. And he shall prepare the second as an ascending offering, according to the right ruling of the priest, shall make atonement for him and for his sin which he has sinned, and it shall be forgiven him. But if he is unable to bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, then he who sinned shall bring for his offering 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour as a sin offering. He puts no oil on it, nor does he put any frankincense on it, for it is a sin offering. And he shall bring it to the priest, and the priest shall take his hand filled with it as a remembrance portion, and burn it on the slaughter place according to the order to the offerings made by fire to Yahuwah. It is a sin offering. And the priest shall make atonement for him for his sin that he has sinned in any of these, and it shall be forgiven him, and it shall be the priest's like a grain offering. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, when a being commits a trespass and has sinned by mistake against the set-apart matters of Yahuwah, then he shall bring to Yahuwah as his guilt offering a ram, a perfect one from the flock, with your valuation in shekels of silver, according to the shekel of the set-apart place, as a guilt offering. And he shall make good for the sin that he has done against that which is set apart, and shall add 1/5 to it, and give it to the priest. And the priest shall make atonement for him with the ram of the guilt offering, and it shall be forgiven him. And when any being sins and has done what is not to be done against any of the commands of Yahuwah, though he know it not, yet he shall be guilty and shall bear his crookedness. Then he shall bring the priests a ram, a perfect one, from the flock, with your valuation as a guilt offering. And the priest shall make atonement for his mistake, for the mistake he committed unintentionally, though he did not know it, and he shall be forgiven him. It is a guilt offering. He was truly guilty before Yahuwah. Chapter 6. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, when any being sins and commits a trespass against Yahuwah, and has lied to his neighbor about a deposit, or about a pledge, or about a robbery, or shall extort from his neighbor, or has found that what was lost, and has lied concerning it, or did swear falsely, so that he sins in regard to any one of all of these that a man does, then it shall be, when he sins, and shall be guilty, and he shall return what he took by robbery, or what he has extorted, or the deposit which he has deposited with him, or the lost item which he found, or all of the amount which he swore falsely, he shall repay its total value, add 1/5 more to it, and give it to whom it belongs on the day of his guilt offering. Then he brings his guilt offering to Yahuwah, a ram, a perfect one, from the flock, with your valuation as a guilt offering to the priest. And the priest shall make atonement for him before Yahuwah, and he shall be forgiven for whatever he did that made him guilty. And that is the end of the Torah portion, Vayikra. And now the Haftorah is 1 Samuel 15, 1 through 34. And Shemuel, which is Solomon, pretty sure. Yeah, and maybe not. No, that's Samuel. And Shemuel said to Saul, because we're talking, here's Saul. Okay, I see I'm learning the names. So, and Shemuel said to Saul, Yahuwah sent me to anoint you sovereign over his people, over Israel. And now listen to the voice of the words of Yahuwah. Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, I shall punish Amalek for what he did to Israel, how he set himself against him on the way when he came up from Mitzrayim. Now go, and you shall strike Abimelech and put under the ban all that he has. Put under the ban, I think, is kill. From what I've been reading, when he says put him under the ban, it pretty much means kill him. And you shall not spare them and put them to death. From man to woman, from infant to nursing child, from ox to sheep, from camel to donkey. So basically they're to go in and kill everything. And I know that seems really, really gruesome and unfair. And why are they killing the animals? And, the Father has his purpose, and a lot of it is because men's hearts are so easily led astray from outside sources. Then King Saul. So Saul summoned the people and mustered them in Telaim, 200,000 foot soldiers and 10,000 men of Yehudah. Hold on. Sorry, my husband just came home, so I'm going to finish up here. Okay. So, and Shaul came to the city of Amalek and lay in wait in the wadi. And Shaul said to the Canaanites, "Go, turn aside, come down from among the Amalekites, lest I destroy you with them. For you did show loving commitment to all the children of Israel when they came up out of Mitzrayim." So the Canaanites turned aside from the midst of the Amalekites. And Shaul struck the Amalekites from Havilah all the way to Shur, which is before Mitzrayim. And he caught Agag, sovereign of the Amalekites, alive, and put under the ban all the people with the edge of the sword. But Shaul and the people spared Agag, and the best of the sheep, and the cattle, and the fatlings, and the lambs, and all that was good, and would not put them under the ban, but all goods despised and worthless they put under the ban. And the word of Yahuwah came to Samuel, saying, I am grieved that I have set up Shaul as sovereign, for he has turned back from following me and has not performed my words. And it displeased Samuel, and he cried to Yahuwah all night. And Samuel rose early in the morning to meet Saul, and it was told to Samuel, saying, Saul went to Carmel, and see, he set up a monument for himself, then turned and passed over and went down to Gilgal. And Samuel came to Saul, and Saul said to him, Blessed are you of Yahuwah, I have performed. So Saul said to Samuel, he's all proud of himself, Blessed are you of Yahuwah, I have performed the word of Yahuwah. But Samuel said, What then is this bleating of the sheep in my ears and the lowing of the cattle that I hear? And Shaul said, Well, they've brought them from Amalek, because the people spared the best of the sheep and the cattle to slaughter to Yahuwah. For your Elohim, he says to Samuel. And the rest we have put under the ban. And Shemuel said to Shaul, Wait, and let me declare to you what Yahuwah said to me last night. And he said to him, I'm sorry, this is to go through 1 through 34. Okay. And Samuel said, Though you were little in your own, speak. So Shaul, the sovereign, the king, is telling Samuel, go ahead and speak. And Samuel said, Though you were little in your own eyes, were you not head of the tribes of Israel, and did not Yahuwah anoint you sovereign over Israel? And Yahuwah sent you on the way and said, Go, and you shall put under the ban the sinners of the Amalekites, and fight against them until they are consumed. And why did you not obey the voice of Yahuwah, but swooped down on the spoil and did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah? And Shaul said to Samuel, I did obey the voice of Yahuwah. I went on the way on which Yahuwah sent me, and I brought back Agag, sovereign of Amalek, and I put Amalek under the ban. But the people took the spoil of the sheep and the cattle and the best that which should have been put under the ban to slaughter to Yahuwah, your Elohim, in Gilgal. So he's like, I did what was right, and the people, they're the ones that did this, but they're doing it for the Lord. And this is where obedience, that's the Father wants us obedient, not to do it our way but I'm doing it for you. So anyway, then Samuel said, does Yahuwah delight in ascending offerings and slaughterings, as in obeying the voice of Yahuwah? Look, to obey is better than a slaughtering. To heed is better than the fat of rams. Yahuwah, Father, doesn't want us to make offerings to him if we're being disobedient. For rebellion is as the sin of divination, and stubbornness is as wickedness as idolatry. Because you have rejected the word of Yahuwah, he also does reject you as sovereign. And Shaul said to Samuel, I have sinned, for I have transgressed the mouth of Yahuwah and your words, because I feared the people and listened to their voice. Man, there's so much here. I mean, fear of people is what gets us into so many bad situations, when we fear what people think over what the Father requires. It gets us into so much trouble. And now, please, this is 15:25. And now, please pardon my sin and return with me and let me bow myself to Yahuwah. But Samuel said to Shaul, I do not return with you, for you have rejected the words of Yahuwah, and Yahuwah does reject you from being sovereign over Israel. I mean, he just lost right there, just because he was selfish, disobedient, and then he tried to finagle it and like, oh, I did it for you, or for Yahuwah, and he lost right there. And Shamuel turned around to go away. Shaul took hold of the corner of his robe, and it tore. And Shamuel said to him, Yahuwah has torn the reign of Israel from you today, and has given it to your neighbor, a neighbor of yours, better than you. Moreover, the eminence of Israel does not lie or relent, for he is not a man that he should relent. Then he said, I have sinned, but esteem me now, please, before the elders of my people and before Israel, and return with me, and I shall bow myself to Yahuwah, your Elohim. Shaul, King Saul, keeps saying your Elohim, Samuel's Elohim, not Saul's Elohim. Your Elohim, not mine. And Samuel turned back after Shaul, and Shaul bowed himself to Yahuwah. And Samuel said, bring Agag, sovereign of the Amalekites, here to me. So Agag came to him diligently, and Agag said, truly the bitterness of death has turned aside. And Samuel said, as your sword bereaved women, let your mother be bereaved among women too. Samuel has hewed Agag to pieces before Yahuwah. Samuel then hewed Agag to pieces before Yahuwah in Gilgal. So basically he cut him up with his sword. And Samuel went to Ramah, while Shaul went up to his house in Gibeah of Shaul. And Shemuel did not see Shaul again until the day of his death, for Shemuel mourned for Shaul, and Yahuwah was grieved that he had made Shaul to reign over Israel. I read a little bit more, but I just read one more verse. So that is the Haftarah. And then lastly, we have this is a special Sabbath. So this one was made to coincide Mark 6, 14 through 29. And the special Sabbath is a Sabbath of remembrance. It's the Hebrew year begins at sundown, Friday the 22nd, which there's so many different people's. I was told that the New Year started yesterday, the Hebrew New Year, actually started yesterday. So I guess maybe, it says Friday the 22nd, and this corresponds to this reading here. We don't know the calendar. The new moon was yesterday. The barley harvest was iffy from what I've heard, and so, but they fully expected it to be ripe, and that's how they tell when the new year starts. I'm just learning all the stuff, and so if you got some insight on the calendars and everything, but from what I understood, yesterday was the new moon, so it was the beginning of the new year, the new religious Hebrew New Year. So, but anyway, the Haftorah, the gospel reading, is Mark 6:14 through 29, and sovereign Herodes heard from his name, for his name had become well known, and he said to Yohanan the Immerser, that's John the Baptist, Yohanan the Immerser, has been raised from the dead, and because of this, these powers are at work in him. Others said he is Eliyahu, and others said he's a prophet, like one of the prophets. So they're discussing Yeshua here. But then Herodes heard, he said, this one is Yohanan, whom I beheaded. He has been raised from the dead. For Herodes himself had sent and seized Yohanan and bound him in prison because of Herodias, his brother Philip's wife, because he had married her. So he married his sister-in-law, and she wanted John the Baptist's head cut off. For Yohanan had said to Herodes, it is not right for you to have your brother's wife. So Herodias held a grudge against him and wished to kill him, but was unable. For Herodes feared Yohanan, knowing that he was a righteous and set-apart man, and he protected him, and when he heard him, he was much perplexed, yet heard him gladly. And a suitable day came when Herodes on his birthday gave a feast for his great men and the high officers and the chief men of Galilee, it's probably Galilee, Galil. And when the daughter of Herodias herself came in and danced and pleased Herodes and those who sit with him, the sovereign said to the girl, quit. Come, baby, come. Please Herodias, who sat with him, and the sovereign said to the girl, ask me whatever you wish, and I shall give it to you. And he swore to her, whatever you ask me, I shall give you, up to half of my reign. And she went out and said to her mother, what shall I ask? And she said, the head of Yohanan the Immerser. And coming in immediately with haste, the sovereign she asked, saying, I wish that you give me at once the head of Yohanan the Immerser on a dish. How disgusting. I mean, it's so hard to even think of things like that they did stuff like that. It's just crazy. And the sovereign, becoming deeply grieved because of the oaths and because of those who sat with him, did not wish to refuse her. And the sovereign straightway sent an executioner and commanded his head to be brought. And he went and beheaded him in the prison and brought his head on a dish and gave it to the girl, and the girl gave it to her mother. How wicked. And when his taught ones heard of it, they came and took away his dead body and laid him in the tomb. Because John the Baptist still had followers. In fact, was it Andrew? One of, I forget which one that was following John the Baptist and then went and followed Yeshua. But, how sad and tragic. So, anyway, that is the Torah portion, the 24th Torah portion, Vayikra, and I pray that you're all blessed. If you have any insight, any questions, anything you can share, please do so in the comments. I'd really appreciate it. Share this with your friends. What I love about the Torah portions is they break everything up into themed bite-sized chunks, so that and the beautiful thing is that all of the people who the Torah observant people Many of them are all reading it at the same time, so we're all on the same page, so we can all come together and discuss what the Father shows us. So please, as you watch this, put in the comments, and we can start having. And as soon as I get enough subscribers, I can actually start doing these live, and then we can actually have where I can have comments and we can have discussions and stuff, which I would really love. But share anything in the comments, any insights, anything you've learned, any questions, and be blessed. And I will see you again next week. Bye.